Mic'd up.
Everybody, welcome to Hall of Fame Conversations. I'm joined today by my co-host here, Barry Smith, Florida Sports Hall of Famer, and from football, actually, and one of the famous Knowles. And we actually have a more famous Knowles with us, Fred Biletnikoff, who's a Pro Football Hall of Famer, College Football Hall of Famer, humanitarian coach, and wine connoisseur. So, Fred, welcome to Hall of Fame Conversations.
Thank you guys, John, Barry. Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure, believe me.
Hey, the way this thing works here for our listeners out there, we're on an app called Mic'd Up Social, and it's an app that you can download on Apple and Google. And by the fact that you're listening in right now and you see us, you've got the app and you've downloaded. But one of the cool features about it throughout the broadcast here, we've got fans that have actually recorded questions in advance, and then I can play those questions. I have looked at them, so everything looks pretty good. No, we're all about unicorns and rainbows here. Have some fun. No controversial things, but just get out there and enjoy getting to know Fred Biletnikoff. And Fred, I'd like to start out here by asking you one quick question here. What about your wines? You've got this wine collection out there. I've been to your website. I've looked at it. How in the world did you get into it? And what's going on with that?
Well, you know what, John, to be honest with you, Angela is one that started a company. And a couple of years ago, I wasn't even aware of it, just a little bit. She was talking about wine, but then she decided to go in a wine business. And she said, go ahead. She says, well, I want to make up the bottles with your name and all that stuff on them. I said, well, just make sure the wine's good, that everybody enjoys it. Everybody can drink it and just don't get it because of what you're putting out there with a name. And so she's been working on it for the last couple of years, and it's totally her company. I'm the fluff when she needs me. Okay. Whatever that means. But anyway, she went in business with a E2 winery down in Lodi, California, and has been going for a couple of years now. And she's doing a good job with it. She's at least she's selling some wine. Well, Barry drinks it, so it must be good. And but it's an enjoyable wine. It's she has 4 wines with the Cabernet, the Zinfandel, the Chardonnay, the Grand Cuvée with the bubbles, and it's all good. Yeah,
my wife likes that one.
Yeah, it really is good wine. So her collaborating with the E2 winery, doing their tasting and what they're going to put out every time that they're making a new batch of wine has really gone really well and really good wine. I enjoy it, and like I tell her, I said, you've done a good job with it, and whatever I do is just I'm in her wake, so I just follow her around, and she does a lot of wine tasting. We're going to do a few down in Las Vegas this year, like Saturday night before a couple of the games. And she, like I said, she just does a wonderful job with it. And she's one that isn't out there to, is afraid to beat the streets and, get out there hustling it, promoting it, and doing everything she can with the PR side and going and visiting distributors and restaurants and bars and casinos and whatever she has to do, that's what she does. And so she's done a terrific job with it.
And I can tell you, I am part of the club. Every quarter I get 6 bottles of wine that are shipped to me, and I get a kick out. The wine is very good because it's Napa Valley wine.
Yeah.
And, of course I listen, what I love the little football card. I think it's your rookie card that they put in every time. I love it. So,
yeah. When she goes, this is what I do with the bottle. It just shows me the bottles. Okay. Then she showed me the card. I go, okay. Well, by that time, what the hell am I going to say? I can't say no.
Angela's done a marvelous job.
She really, you know what? I'll tell you what, Barry, she really has.
Yep.
And, it's not just because she's my wife and everything, but she really has, she's really pushing it. She really makes an effort, and she really makes one thing when one batch of whatever runs out and they're doing a new batch, she's right down there at the winery, and going through tasting and stuff like that, and really giving her input on how if she likes it or not. We just getting back a new batch of Cabernet coming out, so they were going on that for a couple of weeks, and a guy from the winery came over to the house, so they finished up the tasting here. And finally settled on what they felt was really good. So we'll be having the Cabernet back out.
I wanted to add to what John said, your humanitarian efforts, that you have a crab fest coming up, you have an annual golf tournament out there, in the Oakland area, and heck, you even come to Tallahassee and sneak one in on really before Memorial Day. So
well, in down we moved our crab feed from the Bay Area up here, and down in the Bay Area down to Las Vegas, and this year we're having it at the Westgate on November 3rd, and then the golf tournament next year is April 29th, and so Canyon Gate Country Club down there, and then with Richard at the fourth quarter the tournament there. I believe we settled on a date May 17th before we left town last year, and so those are three big events that I get involved with, and the golf tournament I do all the foursomes, and that's all I want to do. And the crab feed, I do all the tables, and that's all I want to do. And then coming down to Richard's place, all I do is sit around and drink beer or have a drink and BS with you. It's good to see you there the last couple of years, believe me. And well, you know what? Going to Tallahassee is a lot of fun. I don't get down there very often, but I try to get down there at least with Richard's tournament in May all the time. For about 5 days, maybe 6 days. So I love going down and visiting at Wakulla Springs, because then I feel great. I go sit out there on a bench like the old Jewish guys, sit there and look at people and just relax a little bit, maybe get something to eat out there. But I just enjoyed going down to Panacea and all the food, the seafood, oysters, boiled shrimp. It's tough to find boiled peanuts. I'll tell you what.
You got it, baby. You got to come to the South for that now.
I know, a little further down, but yeah. So those are the three big events that I go to, and the two big events for our foundation, and of course our foundation involved in Tallahassee with the daycare center for single moms. So they don't have to pay anything for their kids when they have to go out, when they have to go to work. There's no babysitting. We provided everything free for them there. So that's been a big plus. We've been doing that for a number of years. And of course, the golf tournament and crab feed we've been doing for a great number of years. And so everything's going really good. We're being part of a St. Jude's Ranch for Children down in Las Vegas. We're going to be part of a development down there to have another Tracy's Place of Hope there. So that's where basically all the funds we're raising now are going to go to. And so that's going really well. And we've got hooked up with a great group from St. Jude's, and it's a great facility, and it's really going to help us out a lot and really be able to continue the work. And of course, Angela, she's with our foundation 24 hours a day, all year round, and she gets out there and does everything for the foundation, and she's the one that runs the whole deal.
Love it.
We know that's absolutely fantastic, and behind every great man's a better, greater woman. So congratulations on all that, and what your efforts have been. And just you two are like fine wine. You age very well. And I think for our listeners out there, this is Mike Up Social is actually based in the Bay Area, not Tampa Bay, but San Francisco area. And you may know Rick Berry, who he's an integral part of that, and helped them get started. So we're pleased to join him and the Mic'd Up Social folks. And since we're probably primarily right now being watched on the East Coast, but I know there's a heavy following of Mic'd Up Social on the West Coast. But on the East Coast, we're getting ready for football just like we are all over the country. And coming up is the college football season. I think that's probably, you can ask most football fans, probably college football in this day and age is probably the most favorite football over the NFL even. And what I noticed about both you guys is that there's some lingering records. There's some lingering things that people still remember both of you folks from the Florida State Seminoles and your athletic achievements out there. And, I guess one of the most notable things when I was reading up about you, Fred, was the Tallahassee Quarterback Club and the Fred Biletnikoff award. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and how that award came about?
Well, geez, years ago, man, so well over 25 years ago now. But Bill Peterson, was, I forget who was the president at the university was at that time, and Von Mancha was the athletic director. And they called me one evening and they said that they had been watching ESPN when the award show started in the very beginning with ESPN. And they said that there wasn't a wide receiver award. And it had been going on for a couple of years. And he asked me if I'd be interested in having my name associated with the award. And I said, hell yeah, that'd be great. And that's basically how it got started. And but Vaughn and Coach Peterson, I forget the president's name. I would know right off the top if somebody mentioned it to me. But the three of them collaborated, and that's how basically the award got started.
Was it Bernie Slager?
That's it, Bernie. There you
There we
go.
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they were all sitting around over Bernie's place, either playing cards and drinking or whatever. So they came
Oh,
up with
probably
the
drinking.
idea.
Drinking for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. It was
Yeah.
Bernie,
Yeah.
and the three of them. That basically that's how it got started. So it was nothing all complicated or anything like that. And so they just carried it on. And then a Tallahassee Quarterback Club Foundation, kept it going. And more people got involved with the group, that's been on the board there with the foundation for years. And they've done a terrific job. I mean, it really has been. And very well known. The trophy is an unbelievable trophy. And
Very cool.
yeah, it really is. And it's something that, when you have it, you just, you see a trophy. That's the whole thing. And that's, so proud of that. And I really am happy, with the guys in Tallahassee, the job they've done for so many years, and the people they brought in there to do speed, be the main speakers, and that scenario that they've carried on for years. So it's been a great experience with it. Uh, for years, I was coaching at the time, and I think we were into our about maybe third or fourth year.
Did we get frozen?
Maybe it's frozen. You're not frozen. Okay.
Okay.
Freddie got frozen. Maybe it's his connection. Maybe he'll be coming back. So let's see what's going to happen here with Freddie. One of the things that I was doing some research on him.
Kids there.
Hey, he's back.
So it really got to be popular. Really got to be something that the kids were looking forward to working towards, and and really giving an effort to it. But they were all aware of it, and it really made me happy. And I called one of the guys on the board. I said, the first time I felt that the award was finally going someplace when I had talked to these kids. So it was great. It really was great. And of course, it's, well, me, how I am, Barry. It's great to have the award, and I'm proud of it. And I just like seeing the kids who win it, and the smile on their faces and their families, and and we've had some great players. We've had some great players. Some guys that have
truly outstanding. Yeah.
yeah, that have made a mark in professional football. Some have made an impact for 3 or 4 years in professional football. Some, a few of them decided not to even go into professional football. But it's all worked out really well. It really has.
I did notice. I did notice reading a little bit about your background in coaching that you actually started out in high school as a high school coach.
Yeah,
didn't immediately go into the NFL. I know that there's a lot. I know, like in the North Florida area, there's a lot of ex-Noles and Gator players that start on their teams and they've returned to their hometowns and they're coaching high school football. They didn't get into it to become a professional coach or anything like that. They did it for the love of football, and it sounds like that's how you got into it.
Well, I started down in Escondido, California, at Orange Glen High School for about 2 or 3 years. And then I went to Diablo Valley Junior College up in the Bay Area for 3 years. And then I went to the USFL with the Oakland Invaders and the Arizona Outlaws. And then I helped 1 year with Joe Cap when he was coaching at Cal. And then I went from there to Canada with the Stampeders for 3 years. Then we all got fired. And he came back to the States, which was in 89. And that's when I started with the Raiders, and I ended up with the Raiders for 18 years. So I hit, I hit every level of football, coaching, and to be honest with you, probably the best time I ever had was coaching in the junior college because you're dealing with kids that are only there for 2 years, and at that time when I was coaching at Diablo Valley, it was just the start of 4-year colleges coming around looking at the junior college kids, and that's just starting to be popular. So the years that after that for me, where these kids would just bust their ass for you, because they had an opportunity because a 4-year college was coming and scouting them, and it really made it a difference. So I really enjoyed junior college football because the kids really had something to work towards that and get to a 4-year college where they hadn't had that opportunity when they first started, and started in junior college for 2 years. So it was a good period of time in junior college for me. And I love being up in Canada. I spent a lot of time up in Canada, Angela and I, camping and my coaching there, and gotten to be friends with a lot of guys. And I played up there 1 year in Montreal in 1980. So I still have some friends I keep in touch with there, and the guys I coached with and coached in Calgary. And so it was a fun time. I enjoyed my time up in Canada, playing up there, and the years I coached up there. And Calgary is beautiful up there, Alberta, Banff, and all that. Then I got to know a lot of guys over in British Columbia, where I go on vacation a lot of times in Kamloops, British Columbia, and Lac Lejeune. And it's just fun. It's been a great experience for me. And at least the one thing I'm happy with is that I was able to, touch every level of football and coaching. And I really enjoyed that. And, the one thing I know about high school, the parents are worse than the kids. You got to deal with the parents.
Well, there's an expression out there, those who can't teach. And I know that coaching is basically teaching kids not only football, but about life. If you can do both of those things, you're going to be a successful coach. I may have already answered this question for myself asking the question, but as an NFL player, as somebody on the top of the world, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, College Football Hall of Fame, just because a player has achieved greatness individually, or is on one of the Super Bowl team, doesn't mean they can go back and coach anything. What do you test your secret as far as being a good coach? Be able to make that transition.
I had Al Davis as my boss. But no, something. I started coaching with the Raiders, with Mike Shanahan when he was there, and you think about coaching, and now you get to, I left the CFL and then came down and got the job with the Raiders, and you're still a learning experience, and learning was the Canadian kids were a lot of fun. We had a couple Americans on the receiving corps up there, which were really good and good players. And then when I came with the Raiders, they had a great players, and they were all talented. And you learn more not to cuss so much because some of them take it the wrong way. But some of the guys were very talented. I mean, I had guys that ran in the Olympics, tried out, went to Olympic trials, were big time in college, and like Lofton, Mervyn Fernandez, Willie Galt, Timmy Brown, James Jett, Ron Brown had for a while, Jerry Porter. Who else? Oh my God, I had them all. I mean, you could tour with these guys. There's a track team all over the world,
Yeah.
and they're all great players. And the one thing that the one thing with the Raiders always was speed and catching the football. And that's what Al wanted me, and not the speed, but the catching, you
Yeah.
know, and it worked out really well. Sam Grady was good. James Jett was unbelievable. Willie Galt was great. I don't think I'm missing too many guys. We had Randy Moss for a while, and then I had an opportunity the last couple of years when Jerry Rice came to us and played with us for a couple of years, and that was great being around him. And Timmy was always fantastic, and you know, the one edge I had coaching these guys with the Raiders was the fact that, you know, I held out. I walked out. I swore at coaches. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do that. And I did all those things, So, I was used to when somebody would have like a little ego fit, or, they were unhappy about this or unhappy about that. I already went through it, and I knew how coaches treated you when you were young, when you started. And then, like with me, my second year, I tear up my knee. So I went through a whole year of like about the sixth game of the year. So then when I came back the third year, I knew how they treated me that 1 year when I was hurt. Nobody talks to you. And then when I came to training camp, you're still like the third guy down on the roster. You're not even practicing. And then I didn't start any games until about halfway through my third year. And so I found out quickly that this was a business and not a game. And so, I could relay that to these kids, there's guys you're going to run into that, you're going to be put down on the roster, and you got to play hurt. I mean, you got to play a little banged up here or there. Don't make excuses, and to me, don't BS around and all that stuff. You're here to do one thing. You're out here to run routes, catch balls, and score touchdowns. That's the bottom line. That's simple. You know, the whole key with me was the fact that, I was never a big meeting guy, even when I was playing. And, I tried to always in my meetings with these guys, because, I mean, you're in there with guys that are playing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years after a while. So, you have to learn to regulate your meetings. And as soon as you get in there, get right to business and get everything done and make everybody accountable, and get them in and out of there. And because after a while, you're like a bad comedian after a while, they're all going to walk out of the room. And so, we had the coaches, the number of coaches I went through, head coaches at the Raiders. Everybody had their own agenda. Keep those guys in there for 2 hours. Well, you turn around, you look at my room. I think the youngest guy I had was 6-year veteran. All right, all the way up to 10, 11 years, 12 years, 13 years.
Wow.
And so, what I would do to get out, okay, let's get in here, let's get this stuff done. And I would put everything up on a board, would go through it. And I learned, you have to learn how guys learn, and guys learn either visually, or, I mean, you could give some guys and just read it off the paper, guys get it. And then some guys, they have to see it up on a board. So I taught more off the board, got guys involved in meetings. So they were involved in a meeting instead of just sitting there. And then I learned one thing, you're going to have a guy or a couple of guys, Coach, I got to go to the bathroom. So after a while, you go, where the hell is this guy? So it took me like twice, and I went like this. I go, you're going to the bathroom? We're all going to the bathroom. Let's take a 15-minute break.
Right.
All right. So I ended that stuff pretty quick. And then when it got really too long, and you basically, you can basically get stuff done in an hour. If you can't,
Yep.
you're hurting. So the other hour, what I do is say, okay, fine, let's go out on the field, and we'd go through like a walkthrough or do formations or whatever for the rest of my meeting, and it worked out really well, that way. And so that's kind of how I approached everything. That get in there, get this stuff done with these guys, and let's get it rolling and go and get the hell out of the room.
So Fred, you've been talking, and we've been talking to you about your coaching career and your humanitarian and your wide receiver awards and all that. What I want to get down to is, we're talking about catches and touchdowns. You are obviously one of the all-time best. Thank you for putting Florida State on the map. You and Steve Tennessee in 1964. And that's when I became a Biletnikoff fan. But that Gator Bowl, very memorable. Was it 4 or 5 touchdowns, whatever you caught?
Yeah.
God bless.
Yeah.
But and you fast track. I was in Pasadena when the Raiders beat the Vikings, and you were named the most valuable player in that game. That had to be an incredible high point for you, that game and that season.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I never got a chance to score a touchdown there, but I got it close.
Yes,
That's
you
what I
did.
told. That's what I told John. I said, John, at least I got it close, And no, it was. But you know what? I mean, I had been together with the guys on the team at that time that we won the Super Bowl for so many years, and we gotten so close, and we lost so many games to go to the Super Bowl that weren't decided by getting blown out. It was decided by a play,
Yep.
like one play. And, it's like we were jinxed, but, we were a good enough team to come back from that every year to know the following year we're always going to be in the playoffs. So we're going to be right there no matter what. And then to have that happen to all of us that had gone through that frustration for so many years, it was fantastic. But you know what? When I first started with the Raiders, in 65, I was with a group of guys, veteran guys, that at that time the AFL was just trying to fill rosters and get people on the team. And so I played with a lot of guys that the NFL had let go. And so I learned a lot from those guys. They played with big time guys like Cotton Davidson was with Raymond Berry and Johnny Unitas and guys like that, Dick Wood, who played in the NFL. Uh, so I was around all these guys like that, and I learned a lot, and I learned how to be. If you can't be tough, you're not gonna last. And so that's
Yep.
how it was raised. So then getting back to the Super Bowl, that's what I thought about all those guys that I started with for at least my first 3 or 4 years. And when I was going through the lousiest period of my career, when I got hurt and going through all that BS, those guys really supported me a lot. Billy Cannon, Cotton, all those guys. And they kept me going. And those are the guys I remember when we won a Super Bowl because they weren't there.
Yep.
And so that kind of was my sort of emotional attachment to winning the Super Bowl, thinking about those guys that I started with.
Well, Fred, you probably don't even remember because after that game, the Raiders obviously had their Super Bowl victory party,
Mm-hmm.
and I know you can't remember that, but I was sitting at your table, okay, because I had talked my way in because remember that you had Bobby Moore. Well, yeah, well then I was down with the Buccaneers and he was with the Buccaneers.
Right,
And
right.
he figured a way to crash the party. Okay. So I was hanging around your table because I wanted to be around Biletnikoff's table. And he had James Garner was at your table.
Yeah, right. James Garner
Yeah,
was
I was
always
there,
there.
baby.
Yep.
I was, hey, Reger, that was one hell of a party.
Well, I can only imagine. One of the fun things I've had in my career is actually with Barry hosting NFL alumni golf tournaments. And Barry and I have been doing this like 40 years. So 40 years ago, we would have we'd have different themes. And my dad was alive at the time, and he helped establish the chapter and served as president a couple of times. So he and I and Barry would put these great tournaments on, and we'd bring in, all these players out there. And I would love after the tournament was over, you get all these guys sitting around drinking beer and starting to tell stories, and that's still stories about my dad. And I'm like, wow, Dad, I'm having a beer and I'm looking over, Dad, really? Wow. And I know that both of you guys have a tremendous amount of stories from your playing days. Some of them you probably, some of you don't want to share on air, but some of them have got to be pretty good. So, what's your favorite off the field story involving football?
Oh my God! It's when I used to own a bar in Oakland on Hagenberger Road called the Flanker, and Kenny Stabler and I at that time were both going through divorces, and so we lived together like almost 4 years. And the 1 year he wasn't playing, and when we were living the second year, he was already. I already had a few years under my belt playing, so Kenny and I were really close friends, and so we had a condo that we both lived in, and so we didn't have a whole hell of a lot of money. Okay, even though we're still playing, well, that was going out the door and child support, going to court, all that stuff. Okay,
They didn't pay big cow salaries back then, baby.
No, and so we would eat and drink at my place, the Flanker, And that was where that's the only, all I had to do is sign my name. All right. Well, when Kenny wasn't playing, we're sitting in there on a Friday night, and there's about 4 or 5 guys from Fresno because Daryl was starting. And so Kenny and I were eating and having a few drinks, and these guys at the next table, being from Fresno, came over to Kenny and said, you'll give Kenny a bunch of crap and about not playing, he'll never play and all that stuff. And, and I know Snake, I don't know how much you've ever been around Kenny, but, I mean, that wick is really short. Okay. And so the guy comes over one time, and Kenny looks like a snake. Come on, we'll let it go. Yeah, have a good time. Yeah, no. So the guy wouldn't sit down. About half an hour later, he comes back again. Kenny hits him, knocks him back over the table. All right. So I go like this. One of the girls I had cocktailing for me, she goes, Fred, one of the guys at the table called the cops.
Yeah.
And you better get the hell out of it. So I grabbed Kenny. I said, let's get the hell out of it. So we went out to the kitchen, hopped in my car. Now we're at the stop sign right on Hagenberger Road. Here come the two patrol cars with the sirens going. And so we just miss them. But now I look at Kenny, I go, what the hell are you doing? I say, come on, hey, Kenny, that's BS. It's stupid, man. He goes, son, you don't need those kind of boys in your joint, man. He said, you got to keep those kind of people out of your place. He goes like that. So that was kind of one of the things that we shared at that point, which, and of course the club went under. I ended up playing for free for a couple of years to pay the IRS off and all that stuff. But it was just part of life. But we had so many good times up at training camp. John was good enough at times because our training camps were so damn long. We have the air hockey tournaments, pool tournaments, Villa Piano, and that whole Bob Moore, that whole crew. They were
How
really
about Ted Hendricks?
Ted was pretty good.
Yep.
Ted was pretty good. He participated. But something, Ted, when you look at him and he's first around him, he seems like a quiet guy, but
Yep.
he has that sense of humor.
Oh,
Ted's a
yep.
great guy. I mean,
Yes.
he's just terrific.
Yep.
And luckily, there's still a few of us alive that played in that period of time that, like Ted, George Atkinson, myself. It's not too many. You're falling like flies, every
Yep.
time you pick up something happens to somebody, but it was a great period of time. We had a lot of fun. I mean, that's when the AFL, we'd go on a road. When it was the AFL, we'd go on a road for 2 weeks, play 3 games in 2 weeks, and,
Yep.
go through that. And, I was, to going back to that Super Bowl MVP, that next day after the banquet, and I go to the luncheon to get the award. Well, the award trophy, I swear, okay, is about 6x6 base. Okay.
Right.
And a little glass, whatever they call that glass, that expensive glass
Right.
box of a field. And that was the MVP award.
I think they improved on that since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they said it was Ford. Ford's sponsor was the corporate people. So
Right.
they said, and then, you get a car and all that stuff. I go, oh, great. So I go to the dealership. I'm living in Valley Center at the time. I go to the dealership in Escondido to pick up a Ford Thunderbird. And I'm
Right.
driving. Yeah. Now, about a week later, I'm driving down to Palm Springs, and I get pulled over by the highway patrol. Well, I didn't have any registration. I thought the NFL had the insurance. All that. Well, by the time I left the highway patrol guy, he didn't charge me because he was a football fan, all that stuff. Okay.
Yep.
And I didn't have insurance, didn't have any registration,
Oh,
and
wow.
I only had the car for 1 year, and I had to turn it back in.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
fantastic stuff, Ed.
yeah.
Hey, you know what? Now we're to a point of our podcast here that I've got to push these buttons, and there's recorded questions from our listeners out there for the Mic'd Up Social app. They can record questions in advance. We have a couple of folks that recorded a question. So I'm going to see if this thing works. This is from Lee Sambolis, and here we go. I'm going to push the button. Let's see what comes up here.
Hey, Fred. What was it like to play for John Madden? And how do you think John Madden would do if he was coaching in today's game compared to the time that when you played and he was coaching? Thank you.
It was
All right.
great. Yeah, it was great playing for John. You only had to do one thing with John: show up on time. That's it. Show up on time, and then if you wanted to say number two, just go out there and play and win. And that's all John ever demanded from you. And he treated all of us really, really great. He knew us personally, our personalities was a great thing that John was able to do with all of us. That, and John was fun to be around. How he would do now, I don't know. I really don't know, because it's a whole different scenario now with coaches, and I guess you got to be in this game the last 10 years, in that period of time, to kind of understand it more. But I mean, you're dealing with guys, I call them a lot of times bad millionaires. All right. But they're all millionaires. And I don't know if you can put the same, like we had a great staff, and I don't know if you could put the same demands on guys like they did years ago, and really have some restrictions. I don't know if you can do that anymore, and I really don't know if the camaraderie is there with all these teams. I don't know, because I know with us, I mean, that was one great thing about our team, and why we've all been such good friends over the years since we've all gotten out of playing, is that we have such a great group of guys that love to get together. Every Thursday night we're together, going down to Oakland, eating somewhere, having pool tournaments, whatever it may be, just to have that camaraderie. And we're very strong with that, which made us all a bunch of closer guys and friendly, more friends, bigger friends, and closer friends. And so I don't know how John would do now. He loved his bear claws, though.
Hey, before we go to the next question here, I was just noticing the other day, I won't reveal the name of this person, but it's a all-pro wide receiver for one of the NFL teams. Instead of studying game tape, he likes to study Madden 23, looking at his opponent and the moves they're making on the video. I thought that was just the craziest thing I've ever heard.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, that thing is. I'm not a big game guy on TV and all that stuff, but every once in a while I get to see it when like a commercial or something like that, and I'm going. I mean, they've expanded that so much from when it first started. I mean, it's still going. I don't know. I mean, it's been years.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
you look at what was John left in, what, 79? Something like that, in 1979, and that thing is gone. With Joey and all those guys, and that whole group, the whole family does a great job with it.
Yep.
All right, well, hey, I've got another question in the hopper here from D. Riley. Here, I'm going to push the button, and here we go.
Hey.
Let's get Mr. Riley going here.
I'm a huge fan of yours and the Raiders. And since you're a Hall of Famer and you played with other Hall of Famers on the unbelievable Oakland Raiders teams of the past, what do you think the current Las Vegas Raiders, is it coaching? Is it players? Is it attitude? What are they lacking when compared to the teams that you played on?
I think they should work. They should get paid by the hour. No. You know what? I believe this. I truly believe that they have, offensively. I know they have a very talented offense with with the wide receivers, the running back. I mean, he was the best in the NFL last year, and then with the new quarterback coming in, Garoppolo, and the young quarterback they have, and the wide receivers they have, the young tight end from Notre Dame is doing pretty good. And so they're excited about the offense, and the defense seems to be coming along pretty good. But you know what? No matter what you want to do, and I mean, you could blame anything on coaches, players, the equipment guy, and the trainers if you want to, but guys just have to play. You know, you have to go out there and play no matter. You know what? There have been so many times, even like when I was playing, I'm sure Barry was the same thing. A play gets sent in a huddle, no matter what the play is called or whatever it's called. You go out there and try to make it work. You don't complain about the call. You know, you say, okay, hey, we got to make it work some way. That's what he's calling. That's what the quarterback's calling. That's what's being sent in. And uh, when you're coaching, uh, the funny thing about it, I don't think too many players realize that. You know, when you're coaching, that player, that coach's life is in his hands. I mean, his livelihood is in that player's hands. You know, and if you don't have enough respect for that coach or the coaches, to just go out. You know what? I put it this way: just go out there and shut up and play. That's simple. You know what?
Old
Listen,
school.
if you want to be a professional football player, go out there and make a play. You know, the worst thing I hate in the entire world is watching these games, and it's the beginning of the game, first drive, a third down catch, the guy's making a point in his hand. Okay, you're losing 10-3, and the guy gets a first down, he's waving his hand. You know, it's like, cut the waving out, just get your ass back in the huddle, get the next play, and go out and make it work. And quit. And you know what's really gotten bad though, because of the rules. Everybody looks for a pass interference call or some type of call.
Right.
You know, and that's the NFL's fault from because they've enhanced it so much and critiqued it so much that you get to the point. No, I really truly believe this, that you can take every group of referees that are doing a game, and you'll never get the same call. If somebody's looking at the same picture, the calls will never be consistent. Never. You know, they'll be all different because I really truly believe that those guys don't even really know what the hell the call is. I don't know. I don't think they have enough of Joe Pereira. Joe better get off his ass and start making it clear for everybody. You know, he sits in that studio and critiques it afterwards. But I don't. I really truly believe these referees are operating under a standard of just being. They're just just guys and ladies. I don't think they're anything so great. I think they just do a good enough job, and that's all you're going to get out of them. All they're going to do is cause controversy. I've never seen anything like reviewing a call. And there's four of them in a huddle.
Oh yeah.
Is it yes or no? That's
Yep.
simple.
Well, certainly instant replay has really made it very challenging even to watch it on television. I remember my first game I went to, I was watching the Knowles play the Gators. Barry invited me up to Tallahassee, and I got to watch that game. I'm in the parking lot, and somebody's bringing me, and I don't know what game this was, and maybe you guys will know what it was, but there's this black and white photo of a Seminole, of a Gator or something, not crossing the end zone line, and it was ruled a touchdown. It shows a picture of the referee with the hands up and all that. And he's clearly not across the goal line, but I guess it must have affected the game that year. And this is like had to be 20 years later, and the guys running around the parking lot with a black and white photo disputing the call.
Oh, hey, listen, I know that you're right, and I'll tell you what. I mean, when you're a player and a coach, sometimes you forget the realization of things that these people still remember, still have, that show losses, this, that, whatever it may be. It's unbelievable.
There was in Tallahassee the Lane Finner catch.
I remember him.
Yep, yeah. There was a Lane Finner catch that would have had FSU upset Florida in Tallahassee. Doe Campbell, clearly he was in, and Doug Mosley was the umpire, overruled and said it was a no catch, and it was clearly a touchdown. But that's one of those great.
Yeah.
Lane Finner said he became more famous because of the non-catch that hadn't caught the touchdown.
Well, isn't that something? So you can only get history like there on Mic'd Up Social. I can tell you that. A lot of people ask me, what's a PGA golf professional hosting a show that's talking about football and soccer and this, that, and the other? I said, the reason why is because when you retire, especially from pro football, it's mandatory that you play golf. So, Fred, how did you get in the game of golf? How did you take up the game of golf? Were you a junior golfer all along, or did you take it up after football?
my brother Kenny was a good golfer, and so I kind of played along with him. I never walked in front of him, always behind him. In case the clubs start throwing, man. No, that's what they with my brother. Both my younger brother Bobby at the time too. We never walked in front of Kenny when you're on a golf course, okay? And so we just picked up, we played, and I just, it just started that way back in Erie when I was a young kid, high school, before high school. And that was about it. It was just, had a public course that we played at all the time, Downing and Erie at that time. And that's how kind of we got started. And then, going to Tallahassee, playing down there. And then, of course, coming out to California, doing it that. So, you had access to everything, especially, once I left Pennsylvania. I mean, down in Florida, you can play anytime, and down in, California, you can play anytime, basically. So, but I love golf. I watch a lot of golf. I mean, I'm a big golf fan. And, you know, it's now when they split for there, I don't know if it's good or bad. It reminded me of the AFL NFL is what happened to me when I saw that happen. But listen, I believe this: when you're an athlete and you're a professional athlete, if there's money out there to make playing, you better go make it because you're not going to last that long. And thank God for golf because golf at least has some longevity, but still, there's still, detrimental things about golf that happen and people don't know, because you're not given an injury report every week. And so a lot of guys that are getting that position, but, hey, listen, at least one thing, with that live live tour, I mean, the PGA tour, all of a sudden that first place, second, or first 5 places jumps up a whole hell of a lot of money. I'd like to see the LPGA tour jump up more and the seniors, because, the seniors now, except for the PGA tour, I'm sort of getting used to the guys now on the PGA tour. The live guys I know because they've been, there for a few years and on a PGA tour. But the senior tour are the guys that, I really watched a lot when I was a younger guy. I enjoy watching those guys. I enjoy watching the LPGA girls too. But football, about golf, I love watching. I really do a lot.
Hey, you remember John Brody? He was a heck of a golfer.
Yeah, son. Hey, you know what? Let me tell you something. You go down a list, and there's a whole hell of a list of basketball players are the ones they think they're the best, whatever. But you go down through all these professional sports outside of golf, and think they can go out there and play on that professional tour, and it doesn't work.
Hey, I just something just came in here. Something just came in, and it's one of Barry's fellow Florida Sports Hall of Fame members, and is asking a question. And it's none other than Rick Berry has just submitted a question. So here we go. I'm going to play the question for Rick.
This is Rick Berry. I just got off a plane, and I just want to know how that old fart Fred Biletnikoff is doing these days. Dear friend.
Rick is such a Rick and I have been friends for years, even when he was with the Warriors, and even before that, and continued our friendship all these years. And he's really a big supporter of our foundation. He's been terrific to us, and he's been a great friend to me, and of course to Angela. But yeah, Rick and I go back a ways, and we played a lot of golf together. We had a lot of trips together, different appearances, and that. So Rick's always been a dear friend. He always has been. Great. We love the guy.
Yeah. We know Rick. I've entered the world of pickleball with a couple of things I'm doing, and discovered that he is like one of the pickleball kings out there. Now, I personally haven't really taken up the game in earnest because you can't take a golf cart in pickleball. You still have to run around and chase the ball. But right. He has become quite a pickleball player. And hey, Fred, have you ever tried pickleball?
Well, I can't run around like I used to. I got that gimpy leg and bad shoulder and the hip and all that stuff. But I can see Rick with that wingspan. Christ, you can't get it by him. Jesus.
Yep.
But no, I haven't tried it. But you know what? I started watching it when it first started getting more television airtime, and guys have been telling me how much fun they have playing it, and then I started watching it, and then I was watching people my age or maybe a little bit younger playing it. I thought, oh, that looks good, and then I started watching it the other day on TV. They had the pickleball tournament. Yesterday I started watching it. I go, Jesus! I go, I can't move that fast. These guys are crazy. And
Yeah,
they're just
almost.
all over the
It kind of
place.
reminds me of a giant ping pong match or something. As fast as they
Exactly.
are now.
Exactly. Yeah. See, I thought pickleball was just, you hit it, boom, you have a little fun now. And now it's really serious. When they start having tournaments, now
They got pro
now,
leagues, right? Pro
I
leagues.
saw that. I know.
Right.
It's crazy. But you know something? I'll tell you what, it has a lot of people and older seniors playing it, everything. So it's got a lot of interest, and it's probably people enjoy it probably more because a lot of people can't play tennis. you know. And so that's kind of a miniature tennis court. So, a little quicker because you're right on top of each other, but it looks like a good game to play. It really does. I wish I could, maybe I could be a referee, sit up there. No, it's out. No, it's in. Yeah.
Well, Fred, we certainly appreciate your time. We're going to get you out of here. One last question here,
Sure.
and it has to do with the state of college football now, state of sports in itself, with the name, image, and likeness that's going on. It seems like it's just really getting out of hand out there. What do you think bodes for the future for these kind of programs, and at least with college football in general?
Well, I think in Barry and I's case, they should have everything retroactive so we get some money from all this stuff.
I
Yeah,
agree
there
with
you
you,
go.
Fred. I like
But
that.
no, but you know what? I've always been, in between, with the school making money and a lot of money, and guys struggling because I remember when I was going to school. I don't know how it was Barry going to school. You don't have that much money. I never had that much money from Pennsylvania.
No.
My parents worked. We got $15 a month.
Same
You
here,
know?
Fred.
Yeah,
Same here.
I think I was shaking down newspaper racks in Tallahassee for the money. Okay, but I don't blame these kids for wanting football changing, to give them some money, so they could make some money. I mean, I don't think it should get so far out of hand, to where it's like you have three or four guys on a team on a college team making money, other guys aren't making anything. But then there's so many factors that have come in. Over the years, you get more exposed to what the universities are making. You get more exposed to what the coaches are getting paid. I mean, my God, guys are getting paid in college football just as much as they're getting paid in the NFL, and so on and so forth. And then you got your clothing line deals and all this stuff that guys are getting. Uh, so I'm in favor of college kids getting paid. I think it's to the point where, the one thing I hate, well, it's kind of jumping off subject a little bit, is I hated to see the rearrangement of all these different divisions now.
Right.
Because we're out here now, and that we're out here with Stanford, Cal, and USC, UCLA, that whole group, and even down to San Jose State and all over here. We're San Diego State. Uh, they were all had big time names at one period of time, where other than the Big Ten and then the ACC, the SEC at the time, and well, now or whatever, those were the big divisions you wanted to be in. Now, without here out on the West Coast, they're bailing out. They don't want to be out here the divisions and like it was years ago, because I don't know if it's because kids are going to bigger schools, to better programs. They have a choice, more choices for kids to go wherever they want. I mean, you can opt out and transfer to another college if you want. So, yeah, you know what? There are so many, in my mind, there's so many discussions about everything. If you put it all in a circle and sat there and try to discuss it, I don't know if you can come out with an answer that everybody would be happy with. That's just, hold on. I don't have to stick them on, Barry.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
I got to
that
guard my
wasn't
floor.
that's not going to be the final question. This is going to be the final question.
Okay.
Stick 'em. You just got to tell us about it. I mean, everybody probably knows about this, but we got some younger viewers out there. They need to hear the story about you and Stick 'em in the NFL.
Well, where it started, we were playing in San Diego. This is like early in my career, and San Diego had a defensive back and a returner named Speedy Duncan.
Oh yeah.
And Speedy was using it after the game. Dick Romanski, our equipment guy, saw him using this, so he went over to their equipment guy after the game and started talking to him, and he showed him this jar, and basically I'll tell you what it looks like. Where you take a candy apple and dip it in the caramel syrup.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of what the substance looks like, the syrup, the caramel syrup. All right. And so there was a company in San Diego that made it, a small company, and that's how we started using it. And then of course, later on it was getting banned, and then Lester Hayes went out of his way. And, when I played up in Montreal the one year, they banned me up there from wearing it. I got fined one time for wearing it, so I couldn't wear it anymore up there. And, but that's basically the history of it. That's kind of where it came from, how it started. And the only problem is taking that stuff off, because we used to have use like a paint thinner to take it off. Yeah. So you couldn't smoke around it when you're taking it off. You could wipe yourself up. Yeah. And but that's how it started. It's nothing complicated. That's how it started. But then the guys in San Diego that had the small company, they're the ones that invented those tacky gloves for the NFL players. Yeah, so that's how that started. In fact, Angela and I met them. We were down in Tampa for a Super Bowl, and that's how I first met them. Yeah, there's like two old guys. They're my age now. When I met them, then, they're the ones that got everything started with that. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic.
You got to
Well,
hey, John, you got to cheat, man.
Well, you know what? But hey, listen, if it's allowed, you got to use it. In fact, I was impressed. I was impressed to learn that you actually coated your entire uniform with this. What I read.
I had to do something. Christ almighty.
Yeah.
But how about years ago? You guys on a golf team used to have that little container. What would they call it? True Grip or something like that. You put your fingers in it to hold on to the club, because the club grips were different.
Yeah, they actually had those, because grips actually were leather grips, and you'd use that because you couldn't afford to put leather grips on your clubs all the time. Like on the tour, I mean, they've got a trailer that falls along, and they get new grips on their clubs every day, and and so back in those days, you had leather grips, and you couldn't afford to get them re-gripped, so you used that tacky stuff, like Tacky Mac. It was put it all over your leather grips and everything. But you wouldn't wear a pair of white golf pants though, because you just reach in your pocket to get a tee, and it's it looked like you've been in a coal mine. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, right. But, I remember that.
Hey, John, I got a question for Fred. Was Don Falls there as the trainer when you were there?
Oh yeah, my whole time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't have the Stick'em deal, but I got to tell you, our freshman year, we played the University of Miami down in Tampa. It was a night game, and it was raining, and we did the pregame, and then we came back in the locker room, and Don Falls, and I'll just fast forward.
Yeah.
We used thumbtacks. He had a little deal worked out, and we used thumbtacks, and we were throwing the ball all over the place, and everybody's wondering how the hell it's a monsoon out there, and we were pitching and catching like there was nothing.
I remember he did that. He did that for me too, because he put it through the white tape and taped it around your fingers.
That's right. Yep. Exactly. Yep. Right. Gary Huff did it. I did. Yes. Yep. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, Don Falls was a fantastic guy.
The best.
He was terrific. He really was. Yeah, he truly was. Yeah. Typical back east guy. Always dressed like he was from New York.
Yep.
Yeah, back from
sharp guy.
Yep. Yeah, always.
Thank you,
listen, you guys. Thanks so much. Okay.
Well, Fred, we appreciate you being on Hall of Fame Conversations. For our listeners out there, just want to remind them that you download the Mic'd Up Social app on Google or Apple Store, and you can listen to conversations like this either live or even archived. But I want to thank my co-host Barry Smith, Florida Sports Hall of Famer, and of course Fred Biletnikoff, who we found out today, not only great football player, great wine connoisseur, great humanitarian, and a great storyteller. So we really appreciate you being on Hall of Fame Conversations on Mic'd Up Social, Fred. Thank you.
Hey, thank both of you. Okay, you go. Hey, have a great year. Go Knowles.
Go Knowles.
All righty. Go Knowles, everybody.
You guys take care.
All righty.
I'll keep talking to you, John. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
All right, buddy. Okay.
Bye-bye.